This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Rabbi Glatstein, Parshas Mishpatim. Very interesting topic tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about Shul elections. Shul elections, and we'll see if you can figure out what it has to do with this week's Parsha. When we talk about Shul elections, everybody says, I daven in the Shul. You daven in the Shul? Yeah, I come Marav once a year. I daven in the Shul. So what exactly does a person have to do to have the right to vote? In America, it's one man, one vote. You're a citizen. You have the right to vote. But to vote for a public need, say you're hiring a new rabbi, a chazan, what does a person have to do to be eligible to vote? Is there a certain amount of time you need to have spent in the city, in the neighborhood? Do you have to own a house? Is an apartment good enough? Do you have to own? Could you rent, lease, and so forth? So you think it seems like a very innocent topic. It's really a very amazing topic. Okay, we begin the following way. In order to be qualified as a member of the city, there is certainly a halachic requirement how long a person has to be in the city. In fact, the Mishnah says in Baba Basra Zayin Amud Beis, and this question is addressed by the Tzitz Eliezer in Chelek Beis, Siman Chaf Daled, and the questioner was the head of the Mizrahi party in Israel. Interesting, right? And the Tzitz Eliezer is sort of suggesting and educating and directing this person how voting should take place, not just politically, but even in neighborhoods and in shuls. So he starts off with the Mishnah Bava Basra Zayin Amud Beis, Kama Yehei Ba'ir V'Yehei Ka'anshei Ha'ir. How long do you have to be in the city to be considered a member of the city? How long do you have to be in the city? It says the Mishnah, Yud Beis Chaydesh, 12 months. Okay, so if you're living in the city for 12 months, you're already what the Mishnah calls Anshei Ha'ir, a man of the city. Kana ba beis dira. But if you buy residence, Harehu Ka'anshei Ha'ir miyad, then you're immediately qualified as a resident of the city, right? Until once you own the real estate, that clinches it. You immediately, like that, bam, you're a resident of the city. But you don't own the real estate, you're merely leasing or renting. So then you need to be living there for 12 months. So the Gemara asks on Chesam and Aleph, right? That Mishnah was Zayin Amud Beis. The Gemara asks on Chesam and Aleph that the Mishnah says you have to be in the city for 12 months. But asks the Gemara, there's a halacha of Ir Hanidachas. What's Ir Hanidachas? When the majority of the city serves idols, so what do we do to the people? We take the people and we cut off their heads. We decapitate them. By the way, after that, they don't serve idols anymore, right? That takes care of it. Yeah, they also can't vote. After we cut off their head, they're not going to be voting. And then we take their money and we burn down all their money. We burn down their home. We burn down their movables and their possessions. That's the halacha of the Anshe Hanidachas. That if the majority of the city serves Avodah Zarah, those who served it, we decapitate them. We burn their money. However, if we have individuals who are not part of this tzibur, those individuals get skila, we stone them to death, which is a worse type of punishment, but their money is spared. Okay. So the Gemara quotes a Brisa. The Brisa says that if a caravan passed through the city, the Ir Hanidachas, and served Avodah Zarah together with the rest of the Ir Hanidachas, so do they get the same punishment as the residents of the city, or are they considered individuals and we deal with them separately? So says the Brisa says it depends how much time they spent in the city. If they spent 30 days in the city, if they lodged for 30 days in the city, then they're considered part of the city, and we decapitate them and we burn their money, they're considered part of the Ir Hanidachas. However, if they spend less than 30 days, then they're considered separate individuals, and we give them skila, and we don't judge them as part of the Ir. So the Gemara says, what do we see from this brisa? That to be part of a city, you don't have to be in the city for 12 months. It's sufficient to be in the city for 30 days. So we have a stira. The Mishnah says to be part of the city, you need to be in the city for 12 months. And the brisa says it's sufficient to be there for 30 days. Answers the Gemara, Amar Rava, number 3, 4 lines on the top, like kasha, there's no difficulty. Ha livnei masa, ha liyasuve masa. if you want to be qualified as a son of the city, you want to be a full-fledged resident, you need to be in the city for 12 months. But if you just want to be considered someone who lives in the city, then 30 days is sufficient. In other words, there are two categories. There's something called B'nai Masa, a son of the city. For that, you need to live in the city for 12 months. But to be merely considered a resident of the city, for that, you only need what? 30 days. Okay, you got it?
Who's doing the considering?
What? We are. Who? The Bezdin. The Bezdin. So in other words, so there are two levels. The higher level is B'nai Masa, or Anshe Masa, a man of the city, a son of the city. You need 12 months. But just to merely be considered a resident, all you need is 30 days. Okay? And this is how we paskin. If you look in the Rambam, number 4 in Hilchos Nadarim, you look in the Shulchan Aruch in Yardayas and Reish Zayin, if somebody makes a neder, someone makes a vow, they're not going to get benefit from the B'nai Ha'ir, the sons of the city. Let's say I say, I'm not getting any benefit from any of the real residents, the full-fledged residents of Kew Garden Hills. So then I can't go eat in any of the pizza stores. But I could still have Burger Professor, right? Because it's here less than a year, right? So if you make a neder, you're not going to get hana from the B'nai Ha'ir. As long as the people have not lived there for 12 months, you could get hana from them. However, says the Rambam, says the Shulchan Aruch, if you make a neder from the Yoshvei Ha'ir, anyone who just lives in the city, then as soon as they've been living in the city for 30 days, you cannot get benefit from them. So says the Tzitz Eliezer, what would you say? To be eligible to vote in a shul, they're looking to hire a new rabbi. There's an open position. Yeah, I personally don't recommend going into the job. But if, let's say, or a chazan, they have an open job for Musaf on Rosh Hashanah. Get your vocal cords ready. People are trying out for the job. How long do you need to have lived in the community to vote? Do you need the higher level of 12 months? Or is it sufficient if you're just here for 30 days? What would you say? Do you need the higher level? Do you need the lower level?
Enough time for your check to clear.
No, you mean as long as we take the membership, you're good. Says it Tzitz Eliezer. Take a look. Tzitz Eliezer could be found in number 6. It's Chelek Beis Simin Chav Daled. On the second paragraph. Harei Shel Hikaros, he quotes our Gemara in Bava Basra. He quotes the Shulchan Aruch. He quotes the Rambam. And he says, Ubarer, it is clear. Shalachavos deya be'inyanim tziburim. If you want to express an opinion in a public matter, yesh hazchus rak levnei ha'ir hakfuim. You will only have the right if you've been here for a while. If you're a full-fledged resident. If you're only here 30 days and you just made your bracha on the mezuzah last night, so you don't know your street from your avenue from your road. You're just here 30 days. No, you can't vote. We'll take your membership. We'll take your building fund. That we'll take, no problem. But we won't take your opinion. We don't really care what the guy has to say. You want to have an opinion, you have to be here for 12 months. Otherwise, he doesn't know the ins and the outs. He thinks this chazan is good. It's because he only heard him one time. Wait till he hears him 3 Shabbos Mavarchims will be coming out of his ears. He'll be voting for a different chazan then. So until you're here for 12 months, you don't really know the ins and the outs of the city. You're not really settled. We can't value your opinion. Okay. So that is what the Tzitz Eliezer says, that in order to be considered, to have the right to vote, you want to vote, you have to be living in the city for 12 months. Okay. And then Tzitz Eliezer goes on to say that there is another way to get voting rights immediately. What is that? Well, the Mishnah said, this is amazing, if you bought a house, you immediately become a resident. Now, we might think, yeah, of course, because real estate is real. That gives you permanence. So Tzitz Eliezer points out, first of all, it doesn't say if you buy real estate. It doesn't say if you buy an empty lot. It doesn't say kanaba karka, you're immediately like the Anshe Ha'ir. It says kanaba base dira. You have to buy a house. You have to buy a house, or a residence, or an apartment. Tzitz Eliezer points out, not only is it not enough to buy an empty lot, a parking lot, an empty just land, it's not even enough to buy land that you could build a house on it. You have to buy an actual residence. If you buy an actual residence, even though you just moved in yesterday, Your opinion counts. You're considered permanent. And Tzitz Eliezer explains why.
Contract?
Why?
You just signed a contract.
You just signed the contract. You didn't buy it yet?
You signed a contract to buy it.
Okay, so that's a good shaila. But whatever halachically is considered buying, whatever is considered purchasing, is a check purchasing, is a credit card purchasing. There's a sefer out. It's called Taf Shin Apostrophe Kuf Behalacha. Check Behalacha. Taf Shin Apostrophe Kuf. It's a whole sefer on Hilchos check, right? There's a halacha that when you buy your matzahs for Pesach, maybe you shouldn't buy it with a check, because the halacha, it's not kesef, it's only a shtar. So there's a question. Certainly, if the check is not being cleared before Pesach, you may have a problem. But even if it is being cleared, it's recommended. Some places can say maybe you should use cash. Okay, but that's a separate discussion. But what he's saying is, in order to have immediate voting rights, it's not enough to buy land. It's not enough to buy land that you could put a house on it. You have to actually purchase the house. You have to actually purchase the house. Okay. So this, says it to Tzitz Eliezer, is all when the shul does not have set official minhagim. But if it has bylaws, it has a constitution, whatever the bylaws, whatever the constitution says, that becomes the minhag. In other words, the minhag of the place supersedes these technical halachas. Okay. Rabbi said this was just the introduction. Now we come to the fun part. You're choosing a new rabbi, you're choosing a new chazan, choosing a president, vice president, sisterhood president, right? The Gabbai Svarim, whatever position, whatever kibudim you're choosing. How do we choose? How do we choose? What do we do? Does the board decide? Does the membership decide? Do the people who daven their Shabbos morning decide? Do the people who come to the Wednesday night shiur decide? I mean, in halacha, who is considered the important people in the shul that they have the right to make the decisions that happen in the shul? People that daven minyan, people that learn, people that pay dues. Who is it? And how? Let's say some people have been davening there for 50 years, and somebody moved in last year. Do they have equal rights? They both have one vote. And how do we decide the importance and the weight that each person's vote has? So you'd say, who talks about it? I mean, there's a pasuk in Chumash. I mean, who's going to talk about voting in shuls? We think that voting in shuls was some kind of recent invention, like 30 years ago. You should know, voting in shuls goes back probably 800 years. 800 years. And I believe the first to talk about this is, look at number 7, the Hagois Maimonides. It's the notes on the Rambam, who quotes the Tshuva, the Tshuvas Maharam Bar Baruch. And he says, Al Asher Sha'alt, the question that came up, Im Yesh Ketata Ben Hakal, there's a little quarrel in the congregation. Number 7 here. They cannot agree. They can't come to a consensus. Livra Roshim, to select heads. Bahaskamas Kulam. Right? They can't agree on the Gabbai. This guy says, I want this guy as the Gabbai because he's my cousin. He always gives me the Aliyah I want. He always gives me Shishi. And this guy says, I want this guy as the Gabbai. You know why? Because, I could pay him off to give me everybody has their Gabbai they want to put in. They can't agree. And the shul is in complete disarray. They can't agree on the president. They can't agree on the rabbi. This guy wants a firmer rabbi. This one guy wants a not firm rabbi. This guy wants a rabbi who speaks well. The other guy wants a rabbi who speaks badly so he could sleep better. There's a big machlokes in the shul. They can't agree. Umidas hadin loike. The whole shul is falling apart. Vein emes v'shon v'lir. Fine. Says Maram Bar Baruch. You know what you do? Listen to this. Nire be'enai. It is my opinion. Sheyesh lahoishiv kol balabatim shenoisnim masim. Gather together all the balabatim, with one caveat. They better pay membership. If you don't pay membership, we don't care what you have to say. Oh, money talks? No, this is nothing. You'll see when we talk about how money talks. This is just membership. Now we're just starting slow. If you don't pay membership, you have no right. This is 800 years ago. This is not, the young Israel of. This is 800 years ago. If you don't pay membership, people like to go to Shul, and they say, I don't have to pay membership. Friday night I daven here, Shabbos morning I daven here, I learn there. No. You should know it is the correct Yashros, it's Menschlach, you daven in a place, you should pay your dues. Pay your dues. And if you don't pay your dues, we don't value your opinion. We value it, we just don't care about it. It's very important, it's very valuable. Just put it in a safe deposit box because we cannot entertain what the position says. Maran Bar Baruch, we gather all the Balei Batim Shenoisnim Masim V'kablu Aleim Bracha. That means they make a certain treaty, they make a deal that whoever adheres to the process faithfully will be blessed min hashamayim, and everyone will express his opinion. V'yelchu achar haroiv. You follow the majority. This guy's been davening here 70 years, and this little whippersnapper, he just moved in last year. It doesn't matter. This guy gives $100,000 a year. He built the whole shul, and that guy, he just gave his 250 membership. How does it go? One man, one vote, right? Every person gets one vote. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what it says in your bank account. It doesn't matter how much money you give to the shul. It doesn't matter anything, as provided you pay membership. If you don't pay membership, then we can't count your opinion. But if you pay membership, one man, one vote. And says it doesn't matter if we're dealing with making an extension to the shul. It doesn't matter if we're dealing with finding a rav, finding a chazan, finding a president. Doesn't matter. Whatever the tzibur needs to decide on, you take the members, you take the majority, and the decision is final. And what if a guy says, I'm not voting? Right? Like in most places, right? My experience is most of the time, you have most people don't end up showing up to the vote. So out of 500 people, maybe 150 will come. So now what? And you have out of the 150, 100 are undecided, 30 like the Rav, and 20 don't. So out of 500 people, 30 are voting for the Rav. So now what? You bring in this poor Rav. How many people like him? Less than 10% of the shul. Yeah. Says Maran Bar Baruch, it doesn't matter. Whoever doesn't vote, that's their problem. It's you take the majority of people who agree to adhere to the process. Majority rules. Rabbi say, where in the Torah does it say majority rules? Parshas Mishpatim. We have in number 9. Acharei Rabim Lehatos. You follow the majority. So we would say, follow the majority. That's when you have a bezdin. That's when you have 3 Talmidei Chachamim presiding on a monetary case or a capital case. But Acharei Rabim Lehatos applies in shul politics. Says Maran Bar Baruch, of course it does. You bet it does. Even in shul politics, you follow the concept, the philosophy of the Torah, Acharei Rabim Lehatos. You take all the paying members, you get majority opinion, and whatever they say, that's the gabbai, that's the rabbi. Doesn't matter. What if the minority, they say, we don't like this gabbai? We say to them, too bad. That's the process. Same way, you don't like your president, that's democracy. We took a vote on it. You like him, you don't like him, you have to follow the majority. So that's how it works with the rabbi, the gabbai, or any public matter. Okay? That is the opinion of Maran Bar Baruch, and it seems that is the opinion of the Ramah. Take a look at number 8. The Ramah in Choshen Mishpat in Kuf Samach Gimel, Sif Aleph, about 6 lines from the end. The Ramah says the same words as Maran Bar Baruch. Kol Tzarchei Tzibor, any public matter. She'enon Yechoyin Lahashvos Atzman, that you can't agree on. Yesh Lahoishiv, yeah. Should we make the kiddush? Should we not? Should we charge? Should we not? Should we have the lakshan kugel or just a potato kugel? So you say no. So let's fight it out. No, don't fight it out. Matzah Shabbos comes. Everyone will gather in the shul. They'll cast their ballot. Yes, lakshan kugel. No lakshan kugel. And 51 say yes. 49 say no. Next Friday you call meal mart, and the lakshan kugel is on. That's how you decide all matters in the shul. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to no lashon hara. Vote. Take a vote.
What if it's a tie?
50-50, then you compromise on your Shalmi Kugel. But if it's a tie, I don't know. Good Shaila. You have to sign up new members, right? Okay. Rabbi Sai and the Tzitz Eliezer quotes this tshuva of Maran Bar Baruch, and he says we learn 2 important principles from this tshuva. Number 1, only paying members have a vote. only paying members have a say. You know, people say, well, I've been davening in the shul for 20 years and I think. You pay membership? No. Keep your mouth closed. Can't talk. What do you mean? Where does it say? Where does it say? It's a Ramon Shulchan Aruch. It's a halacha psuka. Only if you pay membership. That's what the Ramah says. What?
Without paying membership?
Nowadays, yeah, that's a different discussion. By Ashkenazim, as you see from the Gois Maimoni, paying the mas is a historical tradition. That's how shuls operate. Look, as long as the shul operates, then it works. Okay, this is the opinion of the Maram Bar Baruch. Comes along the Shas Teshuvas Tzemach Tzedek. You hear the word Tzemach Tzedek, who do you think of? Lubavitch, right? Nothing to do with Lubavitch over here. The Shas Teshuvas Tzemach Tzedek was a very early Achroin who was born in Krakow in the year 1600. Rav Menachem Mendel Krachmel. Rav Menachem Mendel Krachmel. Why is his sefer called Tzemach Tzedek? Right, one of the early Lubavitcher Rebbes was also Tzemach Tzedek. You know, because the gematria of Menachem Mendel is Tzemach Tzedek. So if your name is Menachem Mendel and you're looking to write a sefer, Tzemach Tzedek is the title of choice. Okay, it works out with the gematrias, and he was very active in maintaining the economy in a way that was favorable for the Jews. For example, the Magen Avram quotes how the importance of eating fish on Shabbos. You know, tzaddikim are very makbid, and people are careful on Minhag Yisrael to eat fish by every Suda on Shabbos. Even Shalashidus, right? You have a little fish, some herring, some tuna fish. It's an Indian to have fish on Shabbos. There's Svarim that write many, many, many reasons to have fish on Shabbos. And in Nicholsburg, by the way, the Tzemach Tzedek later, he took many rabbinical posts. Later he became the chief rabbi of Nicholsburg. And the fishermen in Nicholsburg, they apparently learned this Magen Avram and how important it is to have fish on Shabbos. So every Thursday night, for some reason, the herring, where it used to be $2 a pound, became $20 a pound. Right? So they started to take advantage of, the Magen Avram's psak. So the Tzemach Tzedek issued a psak. No one is allowed to eat fish on Shabbos. Ooh. No one is allowed to eat fish on Shabbos until the prices went down. He was very protective of Mammon Yisrael. So anyway, Tzemach Tzedek received the following question about a city, probably in Poland, where the minhag in the city was, whenever they voted on a Rav, a Chazan, a Shamish, or with any position, a Gabbai, a Dayan, they took all the paying members, they took the majority. And now, lo and behold, the heavy rollers come in. The guys who are donating money for the shuls to function, for the yeshivas to function, their names are on the shul, their names are on the arayin, their names are on every item in the shul, even on the plastic tablecloths. Their names are everywhere. And they say, we got to change the minhag. Majority of everybody who pays the membership? I mean, how much are they paying membership already? $250? I'm paying $100,000 a year for the electricity in the shul. I'm paying $100,000 for the shul's mortgage. These guys are saying, why? How could my opinion be equal? This guy's paying $250. He's paying, $20 a month. I'm paying $2,000 a month. I'm paying $10,000 a month. I'm equal to him. We have equal say. We got to change things. That's how it worked in the shtetl. But in any reputable big Jewish city, like in Budapest, or like in Varsha, we don't take the plebeians and say, oh, what do you think? What do you think, Yankala the tailor? What do you think, Mr. Shoemaker? We go to the rich people. You have 10 rich people in the city, and we get the majority of them. So the rich people in this city, they say, if you want to move our city into the future, into the 17th century, we got to change things over here. We got to forget the little vote. This guy who gives his nickel and that guy gives his dime, shkoyach. Continue to give your nickel into the little pushka, but at the end of the day, what are we deciding about? Whether we're going to extend the shul. Who's going to foot the bill for the shul? Right? Yankel's voting to extend the shul that I'm going to have to pay for? That's what they do in Chelm. Yankel votes what the usher pays for. That's not fair. So therefore, the Shiurim say, we want to change the minhag. and we're going to do like they do in the big Jewish cities, that it's the wealthy people. The board makes the decision, not the average folk. And they say that's the way it operates in the big city. It doesn't make any sense that the poor man should be equal to the rich man. And they say further. Here you have a guy. He opens up his siddur. He's opening it up upside down. He doesn't know the aleph from the beis. So now they're voting on a rav. This guy's going to vote on who he should get as a rav? He has no idea what the aleph beis is. He doesn't know the Rashi from the Tosfos. He doesn't know the Gemara from the siddur. He doesn't know his mincha from his marav. The rav's going to be speaking about what if you forget the same Talmud Vracha on Erev Shabbos Mincha, and you remembered Yav, and the rav's going to be giving a pilpul shir. Meanwhile, the guy doesn't know the aleph beis. So who's he going to vote on? The rav? He's going to vote on some, social director, somebody who's going to bring in, put the flowers on the bima on Shavuos. He thinks the rabbi is someone who, brings in politicians into the shul. He doesn't know what a Talmid Chacham is. So we're going to, and then meanwhile you have in the shul, big Talmid Chachamim, they understand what a rav is. They understand what a rabbi is supposed to be. You're going to equate the guy who can't read the aleph beis with some learned person. So say the people in the city, it's not all men are created equal. All men are created equal as communism. But how could everybody's vote count? A guy who gives $200 a year is going to be equal to a guy who gives $50,000 a year? And come the aniyim, and they say, first of all, Mr. Heavy Roller, you get your aliyah and you drop $10,000 like you're dropping a nickel. You should know, Mr. Heavy Roller, for me to give my $200, it's harder than for you to give your $50,000. $50,000, you could be giving $500,000. For me to give $200, that means I have to eat bread and peanut butter for supper. So the aniyim say, very nice you're spending so much money, but it's easy for you. For me, giving a little bit of money, it's taking my heart out. And besides, minhag avoseim biyodeiim. This was the minhag of our city for hundreds of years. Each man, one man, one vote. You can't change the minhag. It's a very interesting halachic debate. In other words, how do we value the opinion of a Jewish person? Is everyone's opinion equal? Or do we say no? All men are created equal, but some are more equal than others. Right? How do we value a Jewish opinion? So says it Tzemach Tzedek. Take a look on your sheet, in the paragraph that begins Tshuva. He starts off like this. He says, Yira, Dilav Shapir Dami Lamevet Kach Lidchos Aniyim Hanos Nimad. It's really not right to just send away the Aniyim and have the 10 heavy rollers vote on every matter. Who the Rav should be, who the Gabbai should be, just to push away the Aniyim. We're all familiar with the last Mishnah Menachos that says, where there are 3 categories of a carbon oila. A rich man brings a big cow, a bull, expensive item. In a bull you have, steak, you have spear ribs, you have geshmaka meat. A person of less money, he'll bring a bird. And a poor man, he brings a mincha, a flour offering. And says the Mishnah, it says reach nichayach by the par. It says reach nichayach by the bird. It says reach nichayach by the flour to teach you what? Echad hamarve, v'echad hamamit, uvilvad sheyichavin livay lashamayim. Which means, doesn't matter if you give a lot, doesn't matter if you give a little, as long as your heart is there, as long as you're doing your best, everyone is wonderful. And not only that, says it Tzemach Tzedek, you could make the case that the Ani's $250 membership is more valuable than the wealthy man's $50,000 donation. Why? Because by the poor man's carbon, it says the word nefesh. Now he's giving his soul. The rich man doesn't give his soul. The rich man gives his money. We learn from here that when a poor man extends himself to give tzedakah, he's doing even more than the rich man. He's giving up more of himself. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, in the paragraph that begins lekach tainas ho'aniyim taina ma'al yasahi. And therefore, the claim of the poor is a valid claim. They come and they say, for me to give my $250 membership is like you donating the Sefer Torah. Don't push me away. So we're all hearing this, and living in the United States of America with all our liberal ideas, we're saying, yeah, all men are created equal. Go Tzemach Tzedek. we would expect him to end by saying, yeah, all men are created equal. After all, he's saying the taina, the claim of the aniyim, is a valid claim. But now he takes a 180-degree turn. He says, if you look in the Tshuvas of the Rosh says that if you have 100 people in a shul, and 90 of them say they want a certain person in the position, and the 10 wealthy people say no, we listen to the 10 wealthy people. So the Rosh says, we listen to the wealthy people. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rosh doesn't mean that we only listen to the wealthy people. What he means is, the Roiv, the majority of the crowd, can't force the minority who are wealthy. But it doesn't mean the minority who are wealthy could force their opinion on the majority. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, what we see from here is that there are two kinds of majorities. There is majority population, which is called Roiv Minyan, and then there's something called Roiv Binyan, the majority of the foundation of the shul. What's the majority of the foundation? The money. Show me the money. Take the shul's ledger. See how much donations are coming in the year. $100,000. Who's giving it? Basically, 5 guys are giving $99,000, and the rest of the 499 people in the shul, they're giving the last $1,000. Says the Rosh, that's another kind of majority. We take the main donors and we look, what is the majority of their opinion? And therefore, says the Tzemach Tzedek, whenever you need to make a decision in the shul, do you follow the majority of the people? No. Whenever you need to make a decision in the shul, do you follow the majority of the big donors? No. You know what you need? Both. First you take all 500 members and you vote what is their opinion, you take their majority. Then you take the 10 guys who are giving the money to the shul and you take the majority of their opinion. And you hope that both majorities are voting for the same thing. But if they're not, you cannot come to a conclusion. You cannot say, well, there are 500 people in the shul, and 480 of them say, extend the shul. So we're going to extend the shul. Yeah, shkoyach, they're saying extend the shul. Because it's the other 20 guys who are going to have to foot the bill for it. So the other 20 guys are going to have to extend the shul because all the guys who pay $250 are forcing them into it. That doesn't make any sense. The heavy rollers have a right to say, we give the money. Well, how does it go? Der das geb the mea hatadeya. You give the money, we care about your opinion. So in other words, the Tzemach Tzedek, in a landmark tshuva, he writes, he says that, take a look in the paragraph, V'af, V'hainu mishum sheshkulen hein. These types of roiv are equal. Hanach trei ruba, roiv nefashos, v'roiv hamamoin. Ulekach hukba haminog. That is why it is the standard custom b'roiv hakehilos. Not in every kehillah, right? In many shuls, just majority. But says the Tzemach Tzedek, in most Jewish communities, 400 years ago, we don't just take everyone's opinion. First, we take everyone's opinion, and we also take the majority opinion of the people giving the money. He says, harav v'chazan v'shamish imlo shehei b'haskama achas meroiv binyan umeroiv minyan. There are two types of roiv. Roiv binyan is where the money's coming from. Roiv minyan is the people. The people. And until you have a consensus of these types of roiv, you can't make a decision. If the majority of people want one rabbi, and the wealthy people say no, we want the other rabbi, because this rabbi, he's making a lot of collections, and we're the one who's going to have to pay for it, you can't vote him in. And if the Shiurim say, we want this rabbi because it looks good for us, and the majority of the people say, no, we want the other one, you also can't make a decision. You need to have a consensus between Roiv Minyan, Roiv Binyan. And that's why in many shuls, you have a membership, you have a board. Now, you want to be on a board of a shul. Excuse the expression, you have to put your money, right? You can't just say, I'm on the board. No. It's a serious thing. The Torah does not ignore the value of somebody who's financially invested in the shul. Someone who's putting his hard-earned dollar in the shul, we recognize he has more of a right to express his opinion. No, not. So the Tzemach Tzedek is saying not everybody's created equal. Not everyone's created equal. Now, we're not going to say, well, you just give $250 so you don't have an opinion. You do. You're counted in the vote of Rav Minyan. But you're not counted in the vote of Rav Binyan. You're not counted in the vote of Rav Binyan. We're not counted. So this is the opinion of the Tzemach Tzedek.
Where is the rabbi in this?
Oh, the rabbi's, he's being voted on. Okay, so says the Tzemach Tzedek, one second. Says the Tzemach Tzedek, it's always better in all these cases to choose a wise man. You can take a look at the last 6 lines. Get a chacham, a marit tzedek, that could come up with a plan that everyone could agree upon. But if you want to know, you want to formulate your constitution, you want to formulate the shul's official bylaws, this is a good way to do it. Rav Minyan, Rav Binyan. A membership vote, not good enough. Board vote, not good enough. You need to have a consensus of both. Okay.
How do you
What do you do when the board and the membership doesn't? That's called gridlock, right? And that's what's going on in most countries today. They have different departments of government, and House and Senate, and they may not agree, and then you have but you want to know how to set it up. It should be set up in a way where Rav Minyan, Rav Binyan. Now, Rabbi, so listen to this. So far we started from least to worst, or we have the opinion of the Maram Bar Baruch. Maram Bar Baruch says you take all the paying members. Now non-paying members are out. The Maram Bar Baruch says you take all the paying members. You take majority. This guy gives more than that majority. Tzemach Tzedek says you take both types of majority. Comes along the Shas Tshuvas Marashtam. Marashtam is Rav Shmuel di Modina. Shmuel di Modina. He was born in 1506. He passed away 1590. He was a Rosh Hashiva in Salonika. Chida writes about him, we value his opinion like the Rambam. Says the Marashtam the following. So they come to the Marashtam and they say, what do we do? We're voting on a Rav, we're voting on a Chazan, we're voting on a president, a vice president. Do we follow the dictum of the Torah? Acharei rabim lahatos. In this week's Parsha, do we follow majority? Says the Marashtam. That's what the Olam says. That's common parlance. People say in the street, when you don't know what to do, take a vote and follow majority. Says Marashtam, you only follow majority when all people are equal. But if you have rich people in the shul, they vote, and whatever they decide, that's the decision. We don't care about general membership. He pays $250, Gavaldik, Hashem will reward him. But now he wants to vote on extending the shul, on hiring the rabbi. These are major financial decisions. If you're not financing it, you can't express an opinion. Says the Marashtam, what's the proof? It's very interesting, right? If I would have asked you, polled you coming in, what does the halacha have to say about the value of the Jewish opinion? So he says, every Jew, every Yachid, B'shvili Nivra Olam, everyone is important, all men are created equal. We're seeing from here, no. Yes, everyone is Kulam Ahuvim, Kulam Barum, Rebbeinu Shem loves everyone. But now we're talking about practical matters. You want to vote on something that affects the finances of the tzibur, if you're the one financing it, you have more say. No question. The Marashtam says, not only that, you have all the say. Now listen to what he says. What's the proof? The proof is from the famous Machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. This is a whopper. Ready for this? This is a whopper. Let's say by Tsaras Erva. We know somebody dies without children, Chas v'Shalom. So then the woman falls to Yibum to the brother. Now what if the person who died had 2 wives, and one of them is related to the living brother? So everybody knows, if let's say like this, a guy marries his niece. Right? According to halacha, it's considered a mitzvah to marry your niece. Okay, we don't do that. But according to the Gemara, it's recommended. So a guy marries his niece, and then the guy dies without children, and he had two wives. His niece and some other wife. Now the niece and the other wife fall to the living brother. The living brother can't marry his daughter, obviously, but maybe he can marry the other wife. So that's called saras erva. Beis Hillel says, you're out, right? Litzrar, you're out. Beis Shammai says, you can marry. And the Gemara talks about how there were certain women, Beis Shammai would say, you're allowed to marry, it's a mitzvah to marry, you have to marry, and Beis Hillel would say, it's an erva. And you had mamzerim, you had people who according to Beis Hillel were mamzerim, and according to Beis Shammai were the greatest. Fine. And the Gemara says, what do you do by machlekes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? Who do we paskin like? Beis Hillel. Why do we paskin like Beis Hillel? Because Beis Hillel had more talmidim. Beis Hillel was the Rav, Beis Shammai was the Miyat. Ask the Gemara, the students of Beis Shammai, did they also leave their Rebbe's opinion and follow Beis Hillel because Beis Hillel was the Rav? Or did they stick with their Rebbe? So Gemara brings down a machlekes. Some say, because Beis Hillel was the Rav, they started to follow Beis Hillel. And others say no. Despite the fact Beis Hillel was the Rav, they still followed Shammai and Beis Shammai, because Shammai and Beis Shammai, they were mechadedi tfei. They were smarter. They were sharper. They were more brilliant. So even though the Rav was like Hillel, but the quality was on Shammai's side. Says the Marashtam, what do you see from here? That you don't always follow Rav. That even though the Torah says, Acharei Rabim Lahatos, you follow the Rav, but that's when everyone's equal. But if the Rav are not as smart as the Miyut, then you follow the Miyut. So says the Marashtam, what we learn from here is Acharei Rabim Lahatos is not an across-the-board rule. We don't always follow majority. We follow majority when you have 100 people here, and all 100 are the same. But if 90 guys say he should be the Rav, and these 90 guys are working on reading Psukim and Chumash, and the other 10 people learn Shas 10 times, guess whose vote we're going to listen to? The people who know how to learn, because their quality is greater. Says Marashtam, the same way the Talmidim of Beis Shammai followed Beis Shammai because Beis Shammai was smarter, even though Beis Hillel was a Rav. If you have 100 people in the Shul, and 10 of them are wealthy, and they want Rav A, and the other 90 want Rav B, the same way smarter people are given bigger vote, people who contribute more are also given a bigger vote. Says Marashtam halacha lamaisa, you're voting in a shul, you go to the big donors, whatever they say, that's the outcome. What's the proof? Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Yeah.
Okay. We're discussing the two examples.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like the people who had the money had only a veto, as opposed to being in charge.
Exactly. So that's exactly the point. That's the point that the Tzemach Tzedek made from the Rosh, was that all the Rosh was saying was that the rich people could veto the poor, but for the rich people to impose upon the poor their opinion, exactly, that they couldn't do it, because you needed, the Tzemach Tzedek said you needed both types of rights. Now Rabbi say, Marashtam is saying, Maram Bar Baruch said what? Just majority, Rav Minyan. Tzemach Tzedek said, both majorities, Rav Minyan, Rav Binyan. Says Marashtam, you only go to the people who are footing the bill. Those are the opinion we count. And he goes on to say, a very interesting thing, that when the Torah says in Sefer Bereshis, V'harav haya al pnei kol haaretz, the famine was on the face of the ground. Who's the face of the land? Says the Medrash, the wealthy. So listen to this logic. If the wealthy are the face, so what does that make the rest of us? The other side. So he said, the other side is going to force the face to impose on the face their opinion. No. If the wealthy and the Medrash are called the face, they make the decisions. And that is the psak of the Marashtam, halacha l'maisa. An amazing thing. Right? Would we have even thought of saying something like that? So basically we have three opinions. The Tshuva Maram Bar Baruch says, Rav Minyan, majority. Nobody's greater, all men are created equal, one man, one vote. Tzemach Tzedek says no. You need both Raivs. Raiv Minyan, Raiv Binyan. Majority vote and majority of the money. Marashtam says, show me the money. Show me the money. That's his opinion. Comes the Tzitz Eliezer. Amazing, Goinistic Akasha on the Marashtam. Tzitz Eliezer dismisses Marashtam. He says, no way, no how. In halacha, you're voting on a Rav. All we care about is the wealthy people. What is this? This is a country club that we go to the big donors and they decide? This guy is an Erlich guy. He's sitting in the back of the shul for 50 years. He damish Shmonesra for 3 hours. You're going to tell him, get lost because you're not giving as much money as the other guy? The Tzitz Eliezer says, no. We can't say that. And he says the following, a very, very geschmacka question. He says, where did the Marashtam get that if you have wealthy people, they vote, and the poor people we don't count? He got it from the Gemara Masechta Yavamis that says that the Talmidim of Beis Shammai followed Beis Shammai because despite the fact that Beis Hillel was the Rav, but the students of Beis Shammai were smarter. And the Marashtam said, the same way we go after the smart people, we go after the wealthy people. Asked the Tzitz Eliezer, but what did the students of Beis Hillel do? The students of Beis Shammai followed Beis Shammai because they held that Shammai was smarter. Now, Beis Hillel conceded that Shammai was smarter and sharper. And yet the students of Beis Hillel followed Beis Hillel. Why? No, that's not a reason. Either Acharei Rabbim. You know why? Because they held, you follow the majority. But what do you mean Shammai's smarter? No, Hillel paskin that you follow the majority even when the minority is greater. So it comes out, it's a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel on this very issue. Beis Shammai holds that if you have a majority who wants Rav A and a minority who's smarter who wants Rav B, Beis Shammai says you go with the brains or you go with the cash. And Beis Hillel says no, majority rules despite the attributes of the minority. So then, Rabbi say, if it's a machlokes Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai on this very issue, on do you follow majority even when the quality of the minority is greater? Who do we paskin like? We paskin like Beis Hillel. That means the psak halacha is that we follow the Rav even when the quality of the minority is greater. In other words, Marashtam says, oh, look at the students of Beis Shammai. The students of Beis Shammai are following the minority. Why? Because they're smarter. And so he says, by extension, we should follow the rich people because they give more money. But they're against the Rav? No. The Rav is when all things are equal. Says it Tzitz Eliezer, why are you looking at the followers of Beis Shammai? Look at the followers of Beis Hillel. Followers of Beis Hillel follow the majority despite the quality of the minority. So it comes out, they're debating this very issue, and the halacha is like Beis Hillel. That means the halacha is majority rules even when you have a quality minority. And in fact, the Tzitz Eliezer says, a Baskol came out and said, halacha k'Beis Hillel. That means the Hashem is telling us that when you don't know what to do, follow majority or a highly qualified minority, you still say, Acharei Rabbim V'Hatos. So bottom line, Tzitz Eliezer says, if you're having a shul election, you want to know who could vote? Number one, the guy has to either been living in the city 12 months or real estate. He owns a house. But besides that, what else does he need to do? To pay membership. Doesn't pay membership, we don't care. He could be living here he could be a 10th generation guy here. We don't care. And even besides the membership, now what? How do we vote? Do we take halacha l'maisa? Do we follow Maram Bar Baruch, majority? Do we follow Marashtam, the wealthy people? Or do we need both? Says it Tzitz Eliezer, he recommends that a shul use and employ both. You take majority membership, you also take majority of the money. Majority of the money means you look at the big donors, who is fiscally responsible, who is gonna, if the shul goes down, on whose shoulders does it fall? Who's backing up the shul? He's the one who takes responsibility. He's the one whose vote matters more. So, what we're learning here, Rabbi Sai, is a very interesting concept. Is that Acharei Rabbim V'Hatos, following majority, is not an across-the-board rule. And it's not an across-the-board rule that everyone has an opinion. Yeah, I have an opinion. He has an opinion. somebody who puts into something, someone who works for something, someone who donates to something, someone who is more invested, we value what they have to say more. Now we don't push anybody away. Everyone who's contributing their fair share has a right to express an opinion. But the more invested somebody is, the more someone's giving of it, there's a logic to it. Someone gives up of his time, his resources to a Mossad. So then you can't say, well, everybody's equal. No. The Yashrus this is the opinion of the Tzemach Tzedek, this is the opinion of the Marashtam, that yes, Roiv Minyan, but Roiv Binyan as well. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful night. Shkayach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.